For decades, African-American pioneers had battled segregation and financial pressures to make a name for themselves in the world of motorsports. All of their previous trials and triumphs had finally led to the world's two largest stages in auto racing, the U.S. Grand Nationals, later to be known as NASCAR, and the Indianapolis 500-mile race. Stepping into the spotlight of each event would be two charismatic, determined personalities, Wendell Scott and Willy T. Ribbs.
Probably took more fortitude, more guts, more character, more in your face, I can do this, for Scott just to show up at the racetrack.
Here was a black man trying to break into an all-white sport in a very segregated region of America.
Wendell Scott was born in Danville, Virginia in 1921. He served in the U.S. Army Airborne Division during World War II before returning home to open a garage. In the back hills of southern Virginia, Wendell earned some extra money, as well as a wicked reputation.
Somebody told the tale that my husband, ran moonshine.
He took us on some of his old bootlegging roads, which are like snakes. The notorious 41, 360, if you saw them, they would scare you to look at. He had these strong hands, notoriously strong hands. He would put the side of his chest up on the wheel and he'd jerk it. And that's when he would gun it. The sharper the turn was, the more he would gun it. And then he would set up, it's like he's in a trend. I don't want y'all to never try this.
Scott began his racing career in 1949, winning the second race in which he ever competed. As he traveled from town to town on the Dixie Circuit, he encountered intense racism off the track and impossible circumstances behind the wheel.
Wendell won the first Grand National race to be taken by a black driver in December of '63 in Jacksonville. He was not given the trophy. In fact, Buck Baker was declared the winner.
They were not going to let him win that race until everybody was gone.
I believe NASCAR was leery of fan reaction.
And it was pretty smart the way they did it. Let everybody get away from the track and then pay him.
It was 2 or 3 hours later before I was declared the winner. And I'm the only man that won a race that ran 2 minute laps.
Many of the white racers learned to respect Wendell because of his determination and his skill. He became a role model even for white racers at that time.
And there was Wendell, who was willing to take great risks, his life, literally, to pursue his dream.
He felt he had a right to be there, just as much right as anybody else. And I think my dad also knew that his attitude would eventually win them over.
I don't know if anybody else really wants to go through the heartaches and the stuff that Wendell went through. And it's going to take somebody that's really dedicated to be able to do that.
As a kid, you watch Indy and you watch all the legends of the sport, past and present. That was my goal, to win races, point one, and maybe race in Indy, and be in Indy, and win Indy.
Willy T, to me, was incredible. I mean, first and foremost, he was the only guy that was out there. And so when I was able to all of a sudden identify with a guy that looked like me in a sport that I really enjoyed, that's all I wanted to see.
I think Willy's gotten a bad rap on some of the things, don't get me wrong. I mean, Willy is definitely a hardcore racer. Willy speaks his mind, sometimes talk can get you in trouble.
Willy T. Ribbs was a significant race driver. He had made his name in the Trans Am Series, and he has an exuberant personality. He was one of the first to stand on his race car and throw his arms up when he won an event.
Here was Willy T. Ribbs, the brash race driver who won races in Trans Am and sports cars and Formula cars, and here he's coming to Indy, a place where drivers win and drivers die. It was almost, I could see the lens opening and shutting it, looking for maybe a crack. Is this guy going to crack? Is he tough enough?
He had made one previous attempt at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in 1985, but did not make the field. However, by 1991, Willy T. Ribbs felt he was prepared. and felt he had something to prove. On the final day of qualifications, Ribbs took the track one last time in an all-out attempt to become the first African American to qualify for the Indianapolis 500-mile race.
Ribbs down, nothing can go wrong now. He can coast into Indy 500 history. The checkered flag falls, Ribbs has made it.
When I got that flag and got into the race and made the race, the biggest race in the world, I'll tell you what, it was the biggest moment of my life.
When he came down pit lane after he'd made a successful run, and those crews came out and were slapping his hand, they were thrilled for Willy T. Ribbs. Whether they were thinking about the social significance, I doubt it. Some of them were, but in the main, they were just happy for Willy T. Ribbs.
When he qualified, I thought then, I have a chance. I wanted to be the second guy behind Willie. So when they said Willy T, I wanted them to say Chris Miles.
There are probably those that would not have this happen and you know, wish that it hadn't. So I looked up and down the grandstands to see what the reaction was, and everything that I saw was positive. I mean, I saw people that were applauding with their hands above their heads.
Well, any black man that ever wanted to be a race driver, that's really what it's all about. It's about racing, it's about being competitive, it's about trying to win and being in the big show. And Indianapolis is the biggest race on the planet. Emotionally, you feel, well, you did what you wanted to do, and there might have been some obstacles, but you did it.